Good evening, it's just gone 7 o'clock, and as always, we're late. But hey, who cares? You're getting used to it. It's just after 7 o'clock, as I say. You're tuned to the Friday night football pitch with myself, Cammy McDonald. As always, Dennis Newell, and we're joined by, for the first time in a number of months, Hugh Toner, only because there's Motherwell news. So, where shall we start? I think we've got obviously some big stories this week. We've got Celtic in the Champions League, Manchester City exiting the Champions League with a whimper. Obviously, Rangers are going to San Francisco, or San Francisco's coming to Glasgow. Not very often you're going to say these words. And obviously, as we say, Motherwell have appointed their new manager this week, and they've gone continental, like a number of other clubs across Scotland. But probably the place to start is Dennis. Well, not so much at Celtic Park, but obviously with Celtic discussing Champions League. Very, very unfortunate. I thought it was an outstanding performance from what I saw. Certainly, for speaking to you, very, very impressed, and it takes something to impress you. But ultimately, they've gone out of the Champions League, but a result over in Munich that not many people would have expected, Dennis.
Absolutely brilliant. It's the best Celtic performance I've seen in don't know how many years. They've got a draw. Unfortunately, they're still out. The game could have really been wrapped up in the first 20 minutes for Celtic. They had about 4 chances, and I just wonder how much they missed wee Kyogo. It's all ifs and buts, and it's hypothetical, I know that, but you know, maybe they could have done with keeping that wee guy, and I reckon it would have been an unbelievable result to have gone through. I thought Bayern Munich were a bit lethargic without taking anything away from Celtic, but you've heard me saying this all the time, Cammy, on here. If you work the opposition, you'll always get something out of it, whether you take your chances or not. But to me, and I've always said this, even with teams I've got, if you don't have the skill, at least be fitter than the opposition to at least test them. And that's what Celtic done. Celtic's work rate was unbelievable. Absolutely magnificent. And Maeda is, I've said a few times already up to now, if he doesn't get Scottish Player of the Year, I'll be mesmerised, because his work rate is incredible. And what he does, maybe it's just me and the way I like players, I like defenders to be shut down. There's too much of this standing off, poor defenders that are looking good because they've got half an hour on the ball. He doesn't allow them that. And see, when you don't, defenders don't like being shut down. They'll tell you that themselves, because they're not the quickest in the world. And they love to be knocking the ball side to side. He'll go and shut players down. And it proved it with a goal. And his work rate is magnificent. But he could go right through the whole team. There wasn't a failure. Goalkeeper was outstanding as well. Saved them on a few occasions. What you expect, because I haven't went into it, but I can imagine one player is probably more than the whole Celtic team altogether and what they've cost. So, yeah, great game. Can't say good enough things about it. And I think everybody was impressed. And anyone that watched that from wherever in Europe has got to say, wow, they look decent. And Rangers have done that as well in the Europa League, which we'll come on to obviously later. So although domestically we sometimes see games that we think, wow, that's pretty poor and it's a hard watch, certainly Celtic weren't midweek. Absolutely magnificent.
Yeah. Early in the season, Celtic went to Germany and probably put in a very embarrassing performance, obviously losing 7-1. But they've turned things around no end to the side who's probably going to end up German champions this season in the shape of Bayern Munich. And as Dennis says, they were absolutely outstanding. Unfortunately, not so great at Celtic Park, obviously going into the tie a goal behind, but what an outstanding performance it was, Shug.
Well, I was, full enough, I was actually in Paris when the game was on, and I totally forgot all about it because of the time difference. When I looked at my watch, I said, "Oh, it's 8 o'clock. I've run up the road." I said, "Wait a minute, I've missed it." I says, "I've not missed it." So I probably caught the last 45, 50 minutes, the end of the first half, and into the second half. And I can only echo what Dennis said. I thought they were outstanding. I mean, he goes on about Maeda and Kyogo. I mean, I remember seeing them at Fir Park, and it's the 92nd minute. You're in injury time. They're 3-0 up against us, and they're still shutting defenders down. You're like, game's won. What more do you want out of the game? So you've got to look at that. As you said about when they played against Dortmund, it was took the 7 off them.
Yeah.
Their defence was absolutely shocking. Like it probably was in the first leg. Everyone that I think got hit and went in. The first leg, how you can get left at the back post, Harry Kane just standing there.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
standing there
We
drinking.
said that last week. Sure, we said that last week.
Yeah, he could have been standing there drinking a stein and smoking a cigar. And he just taps the ball in the back of the net.
I mean, I said to Cammy yesterday when we were discussing it, I said, in actual fact, and I've noticed this a wee bit, it's creeping a bit more into the game, that there's more players getting caught ball watching. When you start to dissect it, I know it was in the last minute of injury time, but the ball, when it come in for Schmeichel, this was in the goal build-up, Schmeichel to make a great save. They were ball watching at the beginning, and then, of course, it bounces out, and Carter Vickers was part of the squad that was ball watching originally. So you do, and it looks as if they're a wee bit flat-footed, but as I say, their attention is knowing what's going on round about them, player-wise movement, and that's why they lost the goal. But, you know, up until then, they'd covered everything you could possibly ask. The boys slope at the back and left back. And I've never been a big fan of Taylor, but I just can't understand why Brendan Rodgers has put the lad that went back to Barcelona. He was trying to get Taylor ousted out, and he's now brought this other guy in who is not adding any more mileage to the Celtic left back position. I know he did a decent enough game, but I'm just saying to myself, I'm the boy Taylor. I'm going to say, well, you look at Kearney coming back in the summer, and you've thrown me under the bus with 2 other players, one for Barcelona and one that you've brought in just now. There's obviously no future for me here. And I find it a bit disappointing because he's been a good servant. As I say, I have given him a bit of stick because he's not the finished article, but he's not any worse than the 2 that it's been replacing him. So I think he's maybe been a wee bit shortchanged there. But having said that, last week, as you rightly say, Hugh, that ball came in at the back post for Harry Kane, and I went on about it last week. It was shocking at the cover and the marking against it. And again, small errors at that top level of football, you will get punished. And
get punished for it.
That's exactly what happened.
No doubt you get punished for it, especially for the Harry Kane's calibre, standing at the back post unmarked. I mean, surely Carter Vickers trust he should be looking, right, I'm with the centre forward. Leave him with me. He's my man. You deal with the rest of it. But I just think, I don't know what you think, Dennis, obviously coming from your own background. Is it the one with they're now, I've seen a lot of teams just zonal marking. You thought, just pick up that man. Yeah. But a zone isn't going to score. A man scores. I don't understand zonal marking.
Another party that's come in as well. The zonal marking is one thing, but there's another 2 aspects of this. Players are now totally obstructing the opposition in the box from getting to the ball, and referees really need to start clamping down on this because they're physically mauling them in the box. And the other point is, you will look now and it's getting worse, and I've seen it last week as well. Players, defenders, are not actually looking where the ball's going.
No, I was just about to say that, Dennis.
They're looking the opposite way. So I can't get my head around the fact that if the ball's coming in from where I'm looking just now, I'm looking the other way to put my hands around the defender. That's got to be wrong in the rules of the game in relation to you're obstructing the player. It's a simple obstruction. And if you're putting your hands around them or you're pulling them or you're hauling them, that is a foul. And if it's the middle of the park you do that, you don't just get a foul against you, you get a booting. Whereas in the box, it's a free-for-all. And there's not very few penalties are given with the hauling and mauling. And as I say, zonal marking's never been for me because to me, I don't care what you say, it doesn't work because people will pass the buck to somebody else and say it's no my responsibility. And you see a lot of bad goals because of it.
The defender's not going a proper run at the ball to actually go and challenge for it. He's coming from a standing position.
That's right.
Which you'll know yourself. Somebody can run behind you with a running jump is going to get higher than what you are. Whether you're Cristiano Ronaldo and can jump high or not, the person with the acceleration is going to get higher than you, no matter what you think. So
if you're standing in that, if you're standing in that zone, Hugh, and you're coming through outside the box, you're going to have a good leap above anybody that is doing that standing jump.
Definitely.
And I've always maintained that I always like my central defender to come from the edge of the 18-yard box and come diagonally across, so that he's catching the flight of that ball coming in, and he's got to hit it flush. But I would never have him standing on the penalty spot just waiting to do a standing jump.
Just wait there till the ball comes to you. No, but again, Cam, I thought they were really, really good. Thought they were a good performance. And it can only be good for, obviously, Celtic, especially next season as well, because they will be in the Champions League next season. So they can only look forward to next season. So
yeah, I think so. And I mean, obviously, we've previously discussed this new format, which I think is a format which, believe it or not, obviously suits the Scottish clubs. So I think it definitely suits Celtic. Let's be fair; they're not going to be amongst the favourites to do well in the Champions League, but they've got further than many of us expected. And they've done it on the back of several decent performances as well. I think in 8 games they've been decent. Obviously, the 2 knockout games there as well, they've been very, very good. Very unfortunate. The only thing you would say again is it's one of these hard luck stories again, and we're renowned for them as Scottish teams. That's the thing.
But Cammy, we're into nearly March, and we're still up until this week with two teams from Scotland in Europe. Yeah. I know it's the formula that's created that, but it still gives the supporters, and as I said a couple of weeks ago, the playoffs was going to be exceptional for the supporters, because you were either going to have Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. You're never going to win the tournament because there's too many with the big bucks there that are actually going to drive over the top of you. But if you were to say at the start of the season you'll get to the playoffs, and by the way, the middle of February, you'll be playing Bayern Munich, and that might be your last game, but you're still a wee chance of progressing. They're biting your arm off, especially when you look at the way Celtic have spent money. They haven't, especially also in the window. The window was, to me, was a bit embarrassing, but then I think we had this conversation as well. You're not going to progress, so why would you maybe try and get a quick fix at 10, 15 million pound on a player just to get by this round, when you probably could go to the next round? Again, I personally wouldn't do it, because Bayern Munich, I couldn't see them getting by that hurdle. They have played well above, punching above their weight in that last game there. So, it could have been another Dortmund without even blinking an eye if they hadn't turned up. But they didn't, and I think they've got to be applauded. And there's an element where I say maybe the board of directors did the right thing. I hate saying that, because I believe that Celtic are bad. We go and spending money, and I feel always the supporters are shortchanged. But maybe now they've got quite a nest egg there that they should really strengthen that, to say, look, if we maybe get a couple of other players in here, especially up front, then we might be able to look at when we come up against Bayern Munich next year, we could maybe turn them over. It's a big ask, but you become more into the level playing field. And I think everybody would be delighted to see them doing that. And it's not just at Celtic. I think Rangers, which we'll come on to later, with the future that possibly will happen there, this is the way forward. But certainly Celtic, again, without going on too much about it, were exceptional.
Yeah. But is that maybe the we obviously all talk about the biscuit tin mentality at Celtic Park, but let's be fair, Celtic can afford to be running in a cream crackers brigade just now, because they're so far ahead of Rangers. I was going to say Jaffa Cakes, but maybe that's not the appropriate thing when we're talking about Rangers and Celtic, but they are so far ahead that they can afford to not spend a lot of money, Dennis, because they are so far ahead, And
that's the point I'm making, Cammy. That's the point I'm making. Why would you spend just for the sake of it? The league is more or less wrapped up. They're not going to progress any further in Champions League. So why really bust a gut? The only thing I would have said is I would have kept Kyogo, whether the boy was unhappy or not. He would have maybe added a wee bit to them during the week and kept him. It wasn't as if they needed to sell him. They could have kept him. And then review the situation in the summer and then go out and see what you need to build on. But no, for once I would agree with their spending power in January, although it's not everybody's thoughts at the usual bit miserable.
Yeah. However, great performance. Unfortunately, not the greatest, not the result that I think most, or certainly a large percentage of Scotland would have wanted anyway, But it is what it is. It's one of these things, and unfortunately, the Champions League representatives are done. However, obviously, we know with looking at Rangers, the other side of the city, they're still within the Europa League. We'll come on to Rangers later on, but what we will discuss just now, Shug, your own Motherwell. Obviously, Stuart Kettlewell left the club under a cloud, probably a few weeks ago. Doubts as to exactly what the situation was there. Obviously, we know what Kettlewell's claiming, whatever else has happened there. But you made an appointment. You brought in Michael Wimmer. I had to make sure it wasn't Michael Winner you'd brought in. You know what I mean? I was expecting somebody in the death rush over there at Motherwell, you know.
We thought it was somebody off it. We thought it was the John Trode off of MasterChef. I actually had to double take. I was like, "Are you sure that's not John Trode?"
Whatever you want to say, he's got a decent pedigree. You know what I mean? He's been at Austria Vienna. He's obviously been at Nuremberg as well in Germany. You know, so he's got a guy with a bit of a pedigree. Still a young man, only 44 years of age. What do you expect him and his assistant Amit Koch to bring to the club? You know, do you expect to see improvement?
Maybe not tomorrow, because I know they've been
only in the door.
They haven't. He's just in the door, so you can't expect. From seeing like clips of him, I've been down to training this week a couple of times just to watch it, just to see how they're setting up and things like that. They're doing double training sessions this week, which is good because the manager's implementing a style where you will work. It's high intensity, high pressing, and he said that in a couple of interviews. And even at training, everything's done quick. Now, I've been down a couple of times when Stuart Kettlewell was there just because I was passing. I thought I'll nip in for 10 minutes. And I didn't see that intensity, but I wasn't looking for it at that time, if you know what I mean. I wasn't looking saying, oh no, he's not doing this. I just didn't catch up with it. But because obviously what Michael Wimmer says, I says, I intentionally went down to see what the training was like, because he only trained down at Dale Park, because it's an open park anyway, you can just get around and watch it. So it was good to see that side of things as well. From what I'm hearing inside it, he's bringing in every single person, even though the backroom staff's coming in, they're getting brought in, what he wants done at the club, how he wants it done. He spoke to the chef, totally changed their diets as well, and he's only been in the door, 4 or 5 days, and he started that.
Is that Motherwell's Greg's going out of business?
No, it's Upper Crust is the big thing right next to it, Dennis. That's right next to Upper Crust is a wee like takeaway shop for all your baguettes and all that, you know. So I think they'll be struggling a wee bit with the players because they like their assignments.
To be honest, I've been in Motherwell, and I know they have their own canteen and stuff, if you want to call it that, and they've never been bad. They've always looked after their players food-wise. Oh no, they definitely. You know, he might only be fine-tuning it. It just sounds there as if they've been eating fish and chips and Chinese meals.
No. I don't think they've been doing that because obviously it's, you know what these sports scientists do. I mean, they tell you what you're eating, how obviously works with your body. You need to change it. Don't tell you're a wee bit tired like you do with Rangers, but hey, there you go. So I think he's maybe wanted a continental style brought in. It could be something he's wanting to bring in from Germany. I don't know, but again, anything we bring in can only be done as positive. So I'm looking for a positive. Even see if you go and get beat tomorrow, you're going to get beat. You're not expecting. I don't get me wrong. I would love a win, but I'm not expecting a win. I just want to see a different performance in the team. That's all I'm looking for. I mean, the performance. I know. I've listened to obviously when I wasn't on the podcast. I mean, I took a screenshot of Stuart Kettlewell's his stats since he was into finished. Possession, we were 37% possession. We were 12th in the league for possession. Passes in the opposition half, 4,000, we were 12th. Percentage of long passes, 23%, we were 10th. Shots, we were 12th with 235. Shots on target faced, we were 12th. The problem with Stuart Kettlewell was he set up to defend and not to lose. That was the problem, and it didn't work. There was no attacking style. See your midfield, most talented midfield in Scotland. I'm probably biasing Lennon Miller, but he bypassed him a lot of times. In one of the games, I know it was a Betfred Cup game, but he played him at centre half.
Yeah, but in his defence, and I know, see, I'm not a big believer of stats, because if that was the case, Celtic should have get beaten about 4 or 5-0 off Bayern Munich in the middle of the week, right?
Maybe a one-off game, not for the full season.
No, but what I'm saying there is, if you look at Motherwell's position in the league, the last 4 games you've lost, and you're still sitting in the 8th spot. I know there's nothing between that and the bottom.
What does that say to the league?
I know that, but if you look at it, at one point you were in fourth spot.
But where's Aberdeen sitting?
No, I know
they've not won a game in how long?
We could debate it all day long, but what I'm saying is there was a stage where he was getting stick by reports from the news when you were sitting in 4th spot. Now, it might not have been glossy to watch, but he's not the first manager, as you've rightly said, went out to defend and no lose games. Now, sometimes it's not pretty to watch. In fact, it's horrendous at times. And instead of thinking, well, wait a minute, what's important for us today? Is it getting the 3 points, or is it defending? Is it going gung-ho and we still get beat? So I would say it's getting a balance. What I would say, Hugh, is you can see it. I think there's a massive decline. I don't think your German guy is going to turn this round overnight, because he's coming in here to a different country, a different culture. He's never been here before to manage. And I think you could really still be in struggle. It should be a struggle, I think. And if he's got any players there that actually prefer Italian food, he's right up against it if he's bringing in German menus. So I don't know how he can turn that round overnight. I don't expect him to turn it around straight away. Yeah.
And I think a lot of the fans have obviously bought into that as well. I think the only fans want, well, for me personally, being a fan sitting there in a freezing cold night, I know you say stats don't lie and you set up to defend. When we played St Johnstone in the Cup up there, we're 1-0 down with 15 minutes to go, and he's still playing 5 at the back.
Yeah.
Now, for me personally, I would rather say put 3 at the back, how you're meant to start off, put 3 up front. Or even put 4 up front, put 2 defenders in there. I would rather get beat 2 or 3-0 in a cup game and go out trying than, no, I'm not going to lose another goal here. I think I think that's what didn't help the fans, because we took near enough 1,900 fans up to Perth that day. So the team were well backed. And Stuart Kettlewell, I know, had a go at some fans. So maybe that's when he got his little bit of stick from then. And that's what I didn't like about his reactions. He was like giving fingers to the fans, the way he was acting, as if telling them to shut up. And his comments in the press when he came out and says, unless you've done my job, then you won't know what it is. So my point of view is, you've never done a referee's job, so don't criticise the referee. You sat more times in the stand with your bookings and get sent off than you did in the last 10 games than you did any other time. So he's contradicting himself. Now, I never ever wanted the guy to get sacked. I don't want any manager to get sacked, especially my own manager, because it disrupts the team, disrupts the club, the fans are against. All I wanted him to do was maybe sit back and say, this isn't working. I mean, the first thing in madness is continue doing the same thing and getting the same results.
I think, though, the point you're making there is valid in relation to, without the fallouts and everything else that went on, is when you were talking there about keeping it 5 at the back when you're struggling, when you could have converted it and changed it around. That, to me, is something that I would find very frustrating, to see that there's no alterations in it. Because for me, a good manager, when it's not working, has got the flexibility to actually change a game. And there's some games I've watched, and I'll tell you what, the lad that passed away, Jimmy Calderwood, I remember he took a team when he was at Aberdeen for a while, wasn't he, Cammy?
Yeah, he was. Right.
And he was playing Hearts, and they were getting a bit of a turnover and a bit of a kicking in the first half. He changed that at half time, and he come back out in the park. What a difference there were! And I thought, he's worth his weight in gold. I'm not the best manager in the world, but I seen him changing it when other people might not have seen what was going to happen. No. He changed it, and it was something that I just thought, he's changed that there. What a massive difference. So that type of person is worth his weight in gold. Now, the problem you've got is not everybody in the stands will see the change. No, they'll only see the result.
A lot of people will still, he's not changed it, but
that's right.
I'm not trying to be pig-headed or anything like that. I've played football, done it at a good level, coached. I've got my my badges and everything. So I'll go and look at players and how they're setting up. Why is he over there? Why is he there? And as I'm watching the game, and I didn't see a lot of changes with Stuart Kettlewell. Now, maybe he'd done a little tweak there and there, but even, I'm not talking about just me, I'm talking about thousands of fans and online and all that.
Yeah, they could see it. Yeah.
Now, I could see this for months and months happening, and I think his stubbornness didn't help him. Which again, that if he's want to be stubborn, he can be stubborn. He's well within his rights to be stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he probably got himself an out before he was getting sacked. I think another, because the results that was coming after that, the games were putting more and more pressure on the club because they heard it with the fans. And again, last game against Ross County there, no disrespect to Ross County, we should never have been beat 3-0 to them at home. Should never be. We never laid a glove on them. And that was the issue. We never... And again, Stephen Frail, spoke to the chairman yesterday. I had a good chat with the chairman. And I says to him, look, I've got more respect for Frail after what he'd done because he knew a new manager's coming in. He knows he's going to be out of job. And he waited there till the new manager came in, introduced him to all the players and all the backroom staff, walked them round, sat down, had their tea and their coffee, their lunch, whatever together. And then he put a thanks out message to the supporters, the club and all that. I thought, you know what? I've got a lot of respect for that. Because he'd have easily said to Motherwell, you know what? Deal with it, I'm out here. But
I think that would be agreed, though. What you've got to look at is they are professional and they're getting a salary that goes with it.
100%.
So, you know,
Stephen Field,
as good as it's nice. Yeah, as good as that's nice, it's happened. Then a lot of that happens nowadays where, unfortunately, some coaches actually think, oh, good, he's away, now I'll take his job. And that's the ones I don't like. So, you know, there's a lot of respect for that. I've had that done to me, so I know what it is like, and it is not nice, and it doesn't work out well for the club either. Because if your coach wasn't good enough for you, how is he going to be any better without you? Obviously, not doing the shift to begin with. So anyway, that's irrelevant. But it's a shame it all ended up the way it was, Hugh.
I know what you were saying about, obviously, we brought in this new manager, he's 46-year-old. Stuart Kettlewell was 40, was he not? 41?
Aye, Kettlewell's 41, yeah.
I'm not talking his age.
I don't have an issue. That's what I'm saying. I don't have an issue with bringing a foreign manager in. What I don't like is the press have been so negative about it. All they've been doing is saying, why do you not appoint this one? Wait a minute. Celtic Rangers don't have a Scottish manager.
Yeah.
When was the last time we had a Scottish manager?
Well, tell me how many people, Hugh, actually knew about Clement before he got to Ibrox.
Yeah, no, that's and Bill Leckie was in the press, done his interview and says it's a major risk. Every managerial appointment's a major risk. Every managerial 100%. You don't know. Brendan Rodgers could come back a second time and made an absolute pig's ear of it. Clement is getting so much stick, it's unbelievable.
If you look at Critchley as well at Hearts.
Yeah, I mean, look at his start. His start was I
mean, he was never known to anybody, and there's always a question mark over it when there's somebody that they don't know. And it's a Scottish thing, to be perfectly honest. We're all negative.
That's the thing that annoys me. I mean, I've looked at a lot of the press, even when it came to Clement, even when Rodgers was coming back, Ange Postecoglou when he came, he showed up the bag in a jumper. I thought, why you bringing up a guy's dress sense? Why are you bringing up his waiting? At least
that's it. Yeah, listen, he was coming to Australia to Scotland. They're going to put a jumper on.
He's coming from Australia. He's coming down to Scotland. He's came from Japan. I mean, and what else? I think the press are really not happy because they didn't find out who it was until it got released. I think that's what annoyed them more than we know who's getting the job. What's this one? So they can do the research on the guy.
Yeah. The thing is, you look at some of these managers that come in, you know, lesser known folk. Postecoglou was lesser known. Wim Janssen was lesser known. You know, Joe Venglos, spent time at Villa, but he was lesser known. He was never ever expected to get the job at Celtic, you know. So these guys, you don't need to be a big name to be a success, you know. And I think when you look at Vinner's pedigree, you know, he's brought a lot of youth through. He's been commended 2 or 3 of his previous clubs for bringing in young players, you know. So, you've got Lennon Miller there. You've talked very favourably about the youth set up at Motherwell Shugs. So I think bringing him in can only help, you know. And I think it does look like being a positive for the Claret and Amber, you know. So
it is for the youth setup, because I don't know whether there's agree, but Motherwell's probably got one of the best youth setups in Scotland. 100% between them. Probably, I think Hibs have got a great setup as well. And Aberdeen used to have a really good setup, because they used to have a coaching area down at Motherwell, down at Braidhurst High. Used to be Hibs, Aberdeen, along with Motherwell. And you've seen some of the kids in there. Some of the kids in there, you think these kids are going to be going places. They're really special. So I know Aberdeen moved. I don't know whether they're way back or whatever, but Hibs are still there. But our youth setup is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And
the thing is, hopefully he'll introduce them, because I think there's an element where we've talked to this a few weeks now. Our game is starved of Scottish young lads coming through, or even if they're from England or wherever, the youth development side of it coming into the team, which is predominantly Scottish players. And I think we need more of them, because our game has been saturated to a point by looking at the glossy fix, the guys that maybe have the nice hair and all the rest of it with ping pong balls and everything sticking out. They're only for effect for me, because I don't see anybody that's landed on Scotland's turf that has actually made me sit up and think, by the way, what a player he is. You recognise him. You don't recognise him on the park. And that's the problem I think we're having. And the sooner we get back to thinking like Hearts are doing, they've got the young boy Wilson up front, 17 years of age.
What a talent.
Now, there's other teams must have that as well.
Oh, right? Definitely. They must be there in academies.
But there is a fear, Hugh, runs through managers, the fear of introducing youngsters, because every game's a prisoner, as we know. You just look at that Premier League now, and you can be sitting there saying, well, who's next for the guillotine? And if he's going to throw a youngster at 17 onto the park thinking he might be right, then it doesn't work out. The supporters don't really care. You know, we all like the idea of youngsters playing.
We've also said before, it's a results-driven business. You don't get results. That's it now. It's not. There's no entertainment in it, especially with Motherwell. There's been no entertainment in it since probably third or fourth, even fifth game of the season. We got off with a lot of results. There was games we should have won, like the one we drew 2-2 Rangers, where Tony Watt scores a perfectly good goal because Jack Burton made an absolute hash here, and the referee, you're like, come on, even I could see that. I'm sat right behind that. But the talent out there is unbelievable. I mean, I seen Lennon Miller as a 14, 15-year-old boy, and you knew then he played with Scotland under 17s when he was 15-year-old against England. They won 5-0 and he scored all 5 goals from midfield. At 15-year-old, you thought you're going to something totally different, son. You don't even think you're this level. You're way above it. So it's good to see a young Scottish lad.
But the way I look at things like that is, Hugh, see if you've not got 3 in your team like that, you pay the penalty, because what happens is the boy Lennon Miller will not be there next year.
Definitely not. He's away.
So you need others to be coming in the back of that to replace them. You need a conveyor belt. And the problem is we seem to sit there, and when that nugget goes out the door, we've nothing to replace it, and it falls flat then. So we really need to be beefing it up a little bit more with the youngsters coming in. I think it's something I would look at if it was me, orchestrating how the Premier League, especially the Premier League, was used to make sure that youngsters were introduced to the game and got playing time throughout the season, whether the clubs liked it or not. There's no point in them sitting on the bench and think, oh, you've got to have a certain amount of youngsters on the bench. They need playing time. They need playing time. And I'll tell you what, if they had to have playing time, you would make sure that the ones that are coming in are not going to let you down. So you'd be scouring the country to make sure that the talent you're bringing in to sit on that bench that must be played at some point is going to do a right good job. No jersey fillers, because we've got enough of them. Not talking about youngsters. We've got enough jersey fillers that are out in the park of 11.
Yeah, indeed. And a lot of them, as we see, are foreign, you know. So, yeah, we definitely do need to get that influx of young Scottish talent through most of the clubs. But again, moving away from Motherwell, obviously we touched on it at the start of the show. It's probably been the biggest.
I've got 1 point. Cammy, I've got
Sorry,
1
on you
point.
go, Chuck. On you go.
Just about the young boys. I've made a point for some of the guys down at Fir Park as well that we've now got a squad of 42 because of the loan players and that we brought in. Now, 42 is a squad for Motherwell. We can't achieve that.
Too many.
28 max. Between 25, 28. But we've got 42 players and we don't have a lot of youngsters in there. I say, bring the youngsters on. Bring them on for the experience then. Next couple of games, put one on, give them 20 minutes, give them 15 minutes, get them on the experience. Instead of bringing up somebody from down south and going, right, go and sit on the bench for us. You thought, I don't agree. I only wanted to make that point. That's the only thing I don't agree with.
No, it's down the same. Jersey fellas.
How did that happen that you have that amount of players?
Well, with a lot
just can you work that out that financially you've got somebody in that board that's going to be counting the pennies and going, yeah, we'll sign him. That's an extra 2K a week. I just can't understand that.
The fans have questioned galore. I said when I had words with the chairman yesterday, Neil McMillan actually, Kyle, I asked him a question. I says, how can we afford 42 of a first team squad? He says, oh, we've got so many loan players in. I went, see the loan players we've got in? They're not doing anything for us. They're sitting on the bench. Three of them is injured. Just send them back to their playing clubs. You don't want them. Yeah. We've got Tavares for Hibs. He's played 1.5 games for us. He can't even get a game with Hibs. He can't get a game with us, and we've still got him. Send him back to Hibs.
But Hugh, you're also paying his wages, probably.
That's what I'm saying. We'll probably have to. We won't be paying. We'll be paying a portion.
We'll be paying it all. We'll be paying a good.
Return them. Just return them.
Yeah.
We've got three loan strikers, and we've got Tony Watt on loan. So we've got 4 strikers, and they're all on loan. You think, come on.
Again,
short-sighted.
If they're adding value to your team, they're worth their weight in gold.
But they're sitting on the bench.
Dennis, you're not going to get 42 of them.
I know.
If you've got a squad of 42, you're not going to get added value to the team for 2 or 3 loan players or half a dozen loan players.
10, 11 injured players at the minute. But not a lot of them's going to be, probably I would say 6 of them, maybe first teamers, who are now gradually coming back, like Nicholson, Slattery, Len Miller when he's injured, they're coming back. Still got a goalkeeper out, a defender out, another midfielder out, or a striker out. That's the main ones at the back. We'll see 5 or 6 of them. The rest are just, they won't even get it.
You can only start the game.
What does that do? But that also stagnates the progress of any good young Scottish talent you've got.
That's what I
say. There's an obligation there to play that up. There's an obligation to feature these loan players,
and bring through. There are a couple of young boys in there, 16, 17-year-old. I know they're probably maybe 18 months away from really doing something.
Yeah.
But you need to give them experience. You need to bring them into the squad and no first team training. Get them on first team match. If they're in a position to give them 10, 15 minutes at the end of the game, give them 10, 15 minutes. But
when either you're chasing the game or it's on the way, that's it.
Just bring them on.
There's a catch on that though, because if you look at who you answer to, if you're the manager and you've got that amount of players and some of them have been brought in as loan, it's a bit like even Rangers when you look at Dessers there. Dessers comes in and plays. Would he have played as many games if they'd been giving him a salary of 27k a week? Without it. Justification.
Exactly.
So if you look at your loan players and you've got half a dozen of them, I don't know how many you've got here, but if you've got a percentage of them,
10, I think.
10,
I think.
Right. Well, if you've got 10, you've got to be putting a good percentage of them on the bench if they're not in the starting lineup. So therefore, that stifles the youngster right away.
So I'm saying you get that obligation.
He's got to be justified, or you've got to justify that payment, whereas the youngster doesn't really count. It's not being disrespectful to them as players. It's the true reality of it.
Yeah.
The board of directors are going to say, wait a minute, you wanted him on loan. You're not even playing him. Well, I'd rather have one of the youngsters on. All right away. You're on a shaky nail. But for 42, you can only start with 11, as I said. What's the rest of them doing? They'd be as well going out in Motherwell on the Friday night, half of them.
And there's no worse to be going to eat but now because they've shut down the local shop next door. Anyway, moving away from Motherwell because obviously somebody's are working tomorrow and need to get their bed early. Right. Okay. Looking at what's happening, it's the first time ever I think we'll be able to actually link American football up with Scottish football. You know, you've all made reference to this maroon burgundy flag behind me.
Remember.
Burgundy and gold. But we have a situation now where it's broken the news over the last 36 hours that Glasgow Rangers are a target for a takeover by the San Francisco 49ers owners, the Bartolo family, who currently own the San Francisco 49ers. Cash rich. Chief exec's got a fortune of 3.2 billion himself, you know what I mean? So certainly looks as if it's been a decent injection of cash into Rangers from the owners of the 49ers. Also, they own Leeds United through 49ers Enterprises. So I think, what's your thoughts on it, Shug? There you go. First and foremost, I'll come to you. What's your thoughts on that? Is it good for Rangers? Is it good for Scottish football?
It can only be good for Rangers if the money's spent wisely. From what I was hearing, it's meant to be 150 million they're injecting into it. Now, you see the guy's worth how much?
3.2 billion himself. His own personal billion. Worth. Yeah.
That guy isn't going to give Rangers 1 million if he's not getting something return and knowing who's spending it. So he's not going to splash out 150 million, say, just take the 150 million, I'll take whatever, and you's going to misuse the money like you have done for years and years and years. Because I think that's the problem. The fans are getting shortchanged. Every time you go and look, there's a share issue. Now, if you go and look when this news came out, Rangers have announced another share issue. At the same time they announced this big investment. Is that coincidence? That's what you've got to go and look at. Another share issue, and season tickets are coming out soon as well. So this is... but be careful what you wish for, because, as I said earlier on, they'll want to start renaming stadiums, and so the name Ibrox will be gone. It might be the Vitality Stadium at Ibrox, I don't know. But if they want to come in and seriously take over, they will take over. And it will be a takeover. It won't be, we're just coming in and we'll be on your board. They will totally take over it.
Oh, but it will be a complete takeover of the club, Dennis, that's for sure. I mean, the 49ers Stadium, or Levi Stadium as it's known, you know, which is actually 60 or 70 miles outside San Francisco, believe it or not. You know what I mean? But as Shug says, it'll be naming rights of stadiums. It'll be commercialising whatever they can commercialise, you know. So they'll be looking to get a return on that 100 million pound investment, whatever it's going to be. My one thought on it in terms of positive is the fact that they already know British football. You know, they're involved at Leeds United, so it's no American owners coming in, like when they came into Manchester United, or when the first American owners came into Liverpool, you know, or into Aston Villa. They have a toehold already in British football, so they're aware how British football operates. But Dennis, you touched on it earlier on before we came on air. Part of the reason why we're a tad late. There's things at Rangers that you just wonder if they're aware of at San Francisco. You know, American football is a very, very family-orientated sport. You know, you've got a lot of things going on there in terms of tailgates before games. You know, you don't have much crowd violence. You certainly don't have you don't believe it or not, have a great deal of singing and things like that, you know. So there's a certain element at Rangers. You just wonder how the 49ers owners would feel about being associated with that aspect of running a Glasgow football club.
I've got to laugh. If it works, do you think they'll be singing the sash before the next American football match? That would be fun. And that would be my concern, is that, and the point I did make is every family goes, or not every family, but it's a family outing to go to American football.
Yeah.
It's anything but here in the west of Scotland. And the bigotry and sectarianism that we have, it could be a concern. I know he's been at Leeds, and there can be a few naughty supporters down there because they're not the best in the world. So you might experience some things firsthand that it's not all glossy. But out with the financial side of it, you've got to look at the religious thing as well, for all the aspects of it that you can think about. And if they take that into account, I would hate to think that would be something that would be a stumbling block for this to go ahead. I really would. I'd find it quite sad in this day and age that something like that could hinder it. Now, I'm not saying it will, and I hope it does go ahead, but did we not have that situation before with Direct Sports that they were looking at coming in? Now, I don't know the ins and outs of that, but that turned out really messy for Rangers, and that cost them a fortune trying to deal with Direct Sports, and he was involved at Newcastle United. Forgotten his name now. So that's right. So, I mean, he probably wasn't a good fit, but at the time it was looking quite tasty for Rangers. Or is it the fact that they've got nothing in the pot, so that they're taking anything? This deal, if it doesn't come off, is more of a concern for me, because they lost. There's £17 million of a loss last year. How are they going to bring in players that can challenge? We always look at the one thing. They're there to challenge Celtic. Let's be honest about it. Yeah. And how are they going to do that if this deal doesn't work? Share options, as you touched on, Hugh, are not going to be the answer. It's a drop in the ocean in comparison with what Celtic got after their European tie. I think it was £38 million they got. There's no way in this planet.
Until they walk away with 60 million in the Champions League this year.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the last game. Yeah.
Oh, last game. Sorry. Yeah.
And when you look at that, Rangers, it's only a vision. And I've said it before, that the one way that Rangers can get out of it, and I was thinking more of the Far East, where somebody could come in the way they do at Tottenham and places like that, Man City as an example. It does work. But will Rangers supporters be happy if this deal doesn't go ahead? Because, touched on it last week, what's round the corner is filling seats for next season, because this season is absolutely knackered. Mm-hmm. I know they've got the enjoyment coming up of Mourinho bringing his team Fenerbahce to Ibrox. So that's still to be looked forward to, and that'll be good. And it'd be nice if they progressed in the Europa League. But out with that, there's nothing really spectacular to be watching with the players that they've got. And just moving forward a little bit, the manager hasn't got hope in hell of being here next season. Either way, he won't be here.
No.
Because for me, he doesn't know what's required to win matches for Rangers at top level.
Yeah.
Players that he has actually said are doing well, it's not a smoke screen. He signed them. So he thinks they're good. Mm. But unfortunately, they're not fit enough to fill the jersey that Rangers fans require and the club to compete in the Premier League. So I don't think the guy has got an eye for talent. My opinion only. And I don't think that he is able to take the club to the next level, even if that money comes in. And the problem I've got is, and you touched on it, Cammy, anyway, they'll want to oversee the whole shooting match. He'll go, what players have you brought in? And he'll go and show them the players. And if they know nothing about football, he's pulled the blinkers over them. But the bottom line is, for me, come on to sign players that just are no good enough. And it doesn't need to be the whole team. I mean, he's inherited some players and they've not improved really. So from that point of view, I hope the deal does work out, because it would then be a good challenge for Rangers to be against Celtic. They should be proud of the fact that somebody's willing to come in, no matter maybe getting their backs up and thinking, oh, we don't want this. We want to run the big house ourselves. Sorry, the days are gone.
That's the thing. Some supporters are going to have that attitude. We want a Rangers man. You don't want a Rangers man anymore. Rangers men don't have money. Dave King doesn't have the money these guys do. Yeah. I think another stumbling block could come down and says the debt that Rangers have got. Mm-hmm. Who takes care of the debt? They take care of the debt. Is that including the 150 million? I mean,
but when the Bartolos bought into Leeds, Shug, I mean, Leeds were a club heavily in debt as well. You know, I think, was it the Italian Raz, whatever his name was? I think the Italian owner who'd obviously ran up a fair amount of debt at Leeds United. You know, so I think that the Bartolos took care of that. Certainly, you know.
Will that be tailored into the 150 million alleged rumour?
I would imagine it will be. You know, I mean, I'd imagine it will be that they'll be looking to take over some of the £17 million losses, you know, that Rangers have run up this season. You know, so I would imagine so. But at the end of the day, they'll be looking at Rangers. they'll be looking at Rangers as an investment. That's for sure, you know. And as I say, they're a family who has had several sports franchises. You know, that they first started off with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Eddie De Bartolo, you know, he was involved, believe it or not, in the World Football League back in the 1980s. You know, he was one of the first owners there, alongside a certain Donald Trump. Trump obviously owned the New York, New Jersey Generals at the time, and De Bartolo owned one of the franchises in the now defunct World Football League. You know, they've been involved in the Pittsburgh Penguins. They've obviously Leeds United, currently the San Francisco 49ers, you know. So, yeah, I think in terms of they've got a bit of a pedigree, they know what they're doing when it comes to sports franchises. I just wonder if they know what they're doing when they get involved in a club like Rangers, you know, because, and you're saying about Rangers men and all that sort of stuff taking over the club, Shug. I just wonder how many Rangers fans are going to accept when they look at the past of the owners, you know, where she was educated, etc. You know, I just wonder how many Rangers fans are going to accept the fact that who is going to be taking over their club.
Well, without splitting it, I think he is a Catholic himself, is he not?
Yes.
So
yeah.
that will stick with it.
Denise De Bartolo.
That will stick in a lot of people's throat.
Yeah. I mean, Denise De Bartolo, she went to St. Mary's College of Indiana, a Catholic swimming college. It's probably the equivalent of Notre Dame or Notre Dame, as we would call it, you know, college, which the Fighting Irish College, you know, with American football and all that kind of stuff. They certainly, I don't think they'd be singing the sash, you know. I mean, at games before the kick-off, that's for sure, you know. So,
but Cammy, I think supporters really have to. We use the dinosaurs quite a bit on this programme. If you are going to Ibrox nowadays, you will become the dinosaur if you can't accept the fact that it's got to be nowadays football before religion. And
100%. Yeah, I mean, 100%.
Sometimes they're still the older brigade, and it's passed down through generations. There's still the bitterness because we know it's there with the West of Scotland, and it's the same in both camps. I'm not just saying it's Rangers. It's Rangers we're talking about because of a cash injection. But the bottom line is, you have to maybe stand back a little bit and say, it's a war you're not going to win. Because if you don't accept this guy's money, where are you going to go?
Where do you get it from?
How are they going to progress? By singing the sash in an empty stadium? Because it will be that. They'll have nothing as a product to actually compete against Celtic. So they need to really be bringing in who they can and just bite the bullet, accept it, and go to the games on a Saturday afternoon and enjoy the talent on display and get back to the old ways of Rangers competing against Celtic on a regular basis. And there's only one way that's going to happen. It's as an investor coming in, there's somebody there. But if that doesn't work out, I fear for them because of the debt that they've got at this moment in time. And you've board of directors waiting in the wings just to plough in anyway and sell their shares. King's already said that.
They want out.
I know. They want out.
They want away.
Huh?
You can see it. I mean, you spoke about it earlier on. They don't have any money. The debt they've got, they couldn't even buy Lyle Cameron from Dundee and January.
Well, we touched on that.
We've discussed that. We've touched on that a couple of times.
Then they can't obviously afford to sack Clement with the amount of money he's rumoured to meant to be on. So
somebody in their wisdom decided to extend his contract, no matter what you've had.
Within about 6 games.
I mean, when you're talking about lunatics taking over the asylum, Shug, and you're talking earlier on about, you know, the first sign of madness is doing the same exact thing, you know, and expecting a different result, you know. It's just sheer lunacy, you know. Let's throw money at a situation there that's just no worthwhile getting investing in, you know.
Some agent anyway, hasn't he?
Well, let's put it this way. At this moment in time, Rangers are getting to the stage where it's not just a burst exhaust they've got. They need the exhaust replaced. So it's a whole unit that's needing done in the car. Putting a bandage over it is not working anymore. Now, you might think it's a bit extreme, but I'm trying to look to the start of next season. Unless things are in place, they ain't going to be challenging against their main opposition. And that's what we're talking about right at this moment in time.
Aye.
Celtic will buy and they'll strengthen their team, and it won't be any heartache to them. And Rangers, if they don't get this investor in, will be in some sorry state. And I fear for Rangers. A lot of good Rangers supporters out there, they don't deserve this. They really don't.
No.
So
most definitely. Anyway, Dennis, we've done it again. So much for an early night and a flyer. You know what I mean? We're at 55 minutes. It's a couple of minutes to 8. We've not even looked at the fixtures. Very, very, very quickly, please. What are we looking at tomorrow in the SPL? You know, let's get that out of the road.
You've got an early kickoff with Hibs playing Celtic at Easter Road. That's 12:30.
That should be a cracker.
That'll be a good game.
That has the potential to be a great game.
Well, I think the big test for this, Cammy, is if this Hibs defence is actually improved from me hammering them week in and week out. There's a slight indication of improved, but I think that's a real test for them tomorrow. So,
and you get Celtic after a hard European game as well, you know. So that should be a really, really good game of football tomorrow.
The other one that's coming up after it is Aberdeen have got Kilmarnock. Now that's a tester because Kilmarnock have been up and down fairly regular, but the last couple of games have won. And I actually thought Kilmarnock, the way they were a month ago, was actually looking as if they could be in that bottom two. But they've picked themselves up. Next one we've got up then after that is Dundee United against your team, Hugh. That's a real tester for the new manager up at Tannadice.
Definitely, it's 100% tester. I think the best we can hope for is a draw out of that.
Yeah,
especially for his first game. Don't expect to go up there and go and run riot and win a game and be high pressing teams. It ain't going to happen. You're not going to shine a turd within a couple of days. It isn't going to happen. So just accept it. See if we get beat, accept the defeat, and we move on to Wednesday night. We play Dundee on Wednesday night at home, so it's not bad.
That's a game we need to get back. Anyway.
Not a bad game to come back to. Home game on a Wednesday night at Park. That's all right.
Well, I think Dundee United will maybe have a real serious input into this game, because if they win and Aberdeen even draw, Aberdeen will drop a place and Dundee United will get into third. So it's a massive, massive tie, probably for both clubs.
They've not beat us all season.
No.
It's the only team we've won every single game against.
Yeah. There you go. Well, don't get the kiss of death. Leave it till...
I know, that's the very best game of a shit
there. Next tie-up is Rangers against St Mirren, and then Ross County against Dundee. Rangers, very quiet other than the movements and stuff that we've been talking about. So maybe that's a good thing for them, because they've been under the cosh quite a bit recently. So maybe if they've just been doing their gig, training away hard, they'll make life hard for St Mirren. I can't see Rangers losing that game, to be honest, because St Mirren have dipped quite a bit in relation to no finishing as well as they should be.
We've said that before.
Yeah. Ross County have got Dundee. Oh, that'll be interesting. After the Motherwell result, 3-0. I wonder if they're going to have a push as well. Then on Sunday, you've got St Johnstone against Hearts. Hearts have improved dramatically in my eyes and are beginning to now put it together. The big guy up front that's helped it is really a good target man, and he does a lot of hard work. I'm not saying he's an excellent finisher by any manner of means, but it's taking a lot of weight off Shankland. He wasn't finishing, but I think now it's giving him a wee bit more scope. You've got another tie on the Tuesday night, which is Celtic are playing Aberdeen. And on the Wednesday, you get the rest of it. It's a fixture list: Dundee United and Hibs, Hearts St Mirren, Motherwell Dundee, St Johnstone Ross County. They're all 7:45, and then Kilmarnock have got Rangers at 8 o'clock, and the Celtic Aberdeen game is 8 o'clock as well. So moving into the Championship, we've got a game that's actually on just now. Wait till we see. Yeah, I'm just checking it. It's 18 minutes played, and it's 0-0. That's 12 games that Morton have been in a run, Cammy.
Yeah.
For absolutely brilliant. So that'll be a tough test. In 18 minutes gone, there's no scoring anyway. Ayr United have got Livingston, Dunfermline, Queen's Park, Partick Thistle, Airdrieonians, and Wraith Rovers have got Hamilton Accies. Partick Thistle sacking their manager during the week. Was that a surprise, Cammy?
They're still chasing promotion, so yeah, I think it is a wee bit of a surprise. Chris Doolan, obviously, a the closest thing you're going to get to a legend at Firhill, you know, in terms of what he was as a player and things like that, you know. So yeah, I think that was a bit of a surprise.
Sitting in
As I
fourth
say, the
spot
fact
too.
that they are still sitting fourth, chasing promotion,
But
and
this is
same with the Thistle fans as what we says about the Motherwell fans a month ago. Although Shug, I think's put us right on that tonight. Be careful what you wish for, you know, as a football fan, you know, because I think the top three are so far ahead. I think in terms of you know, you're a 3-horse race there, and Thistle had contended to get fourth, and I think they're sitting there reasonably secure of getting fourth spot, you know. So yeah, a bit of a surprise.
What does the club expect though? What does Partick Thistle as a team expect? They're not financially run to the degree that they can get into that Premier League and survive to begin with. So I just say to myself, I think they should be delighted that they're sitting in fourth spot in the playoffs, and they'll maybe get something they can get out of it.
Maybe even get to a playoff final or something like that.
I know that. Yeah. I just can't understand some of these clubs, because he's done a magnificent job with Partick Thistle. Now, I don't know what the ins and outs are, but it saddens me when there's a manager that's competent no longer at the club.
I think this season as well, when Thistle made so many cuts at the start of the season, you know, I didn't expect them to be one of the favourites. I thought they'd actually be struggling against relegation. And certainly I saw them earlier in the season, you know, at Firhill, you know, when Clyde went there and won 3-2 in the Cup. You'll have seen them as well, Shug, you know, in the same competition.
They were actually pretty decent against us. I'll give them.
Yeah.
The thing with Graham up front was he bullied our defence, and I thought this shouldn't be happening to us. And again, no disrespect to him, but it shouldn't be happening. But they were actually pretty decent against us.
Yeah,
put on a good show.
Yeah. No, as I say, I'm definitely surprised as to the fact that they're sitting in the top four, and I think it's a greater surprise that he has left the club. You know, so yeah.
Tuesday night's given us Airdrie Race Rovers, Hamilton are playing Dunfermline, Livingston, Morton, Greenock Morton, and then next Friday we'll get Partick Thistle playing Livingston. Moving on to your first division, Annan have got Alloa, Cove Rangers Dumbarton, Kelty Hearts Inverness Cali, Montrose Queen of the South, Stenhousemuir Arbroath, and then you have a game on Tuesday night, which is Arbroath playing Kelty Hearts. I look at that and I say to myself, is there an element there where you could take that league right down to sixth spot, even in fact, you could take it right down to the bottom where Inverness, because they've had that much of a cut away for the fact that the points taken off them deducted. But down to eighth spot, with the exception of Arbroath sitting in 40, I think there's still a lot there for second, third, and fourth places for them all to battle out. Cove Rangers bounce up and down like a yo-yo, but they're looking very strong now. And Arbroath are sitting in 40 in first place. Cove are sitting in 38. Stenhousemuir, probably a surprise. They've came from where they were last year and they're bouncing along quite well, sitting in third spot at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's very much a much. It's very tight league.
It is tight, yeah. Moving into the second division, you have fixtures for tomorrow is Bonnyrigg Rose Forfar. Your own team, Cammy Clyde, are playing Spartans. East Fife of Peterhead, Elgin City, Edinburgh City, Stranraer playing Stirling Albion. Tuesday night, Spartans are playing Forfar Athletic. Top of the league's East Fife, second is Peterhead, third Elgin, and fourth is Edinburgh City. These are struggling away down at the bottom, Cammy, an eighth spot at Clyde. Just no seeming to get that wee run that you're needing. I mean, you had a draw last week.
Around a wee bit. I mean, that's a good draw. I mean, the Shug's saying there about Motherwell and Dundee United. You know, Dundee United one of the sides that Motherwell have beaten and haven't lost it. Clyde haven't lost to Peterhead. They've got two draws up there, two each draws up at Balmoor, and beat them 3-2 in DP. You know, so they're at a side who this season Clyde have fared very, very well against. I think they are starting to turn things around a wee bit. You know, they had a horrendous defeat a couple of weeks ago at down at Bonnyrigg. Away form is really what's done them this season. They haven't got a win away from home. Home they look decent.
Well,
I would fully expect them to get a victory tomorrow at home to Spartans. And then, believe it or not, it's a big 6-pointer next week. They're away at Forth for next Saturday.
The game against Spartans is a big one as well because they're only 2 points above you. If you can,
well, that's what I'm saying. It's a big. I expect them to win tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, if you leap above them, if that's the case, but if you look at the league from top spot in 49 points to fourth is Edinburgh City on 40 points. Then you've got a bit of a gap, and the next five is Spartans. Stirling Albion 33 points, down to Bonnie Rig Rose in 26. So each of that section can catch each other. So there's a slot there. With a bit of luck, you get to fifth spot. And if Edinburgh City or Elgin drop off, you could possibly get into the playoffs. So there is an element there.
That was a thought maybe 6 weeks ago, but not now.
No, I know. I think it's gone now. And I think from fifth spot down to ninth, Cammy, I think they're probably gone for your chances. The top four, as I mentioned, there are probably the ones that will be competing right to the death with us.
I think had Clyde appointed Darren Young earlier in the season, or indeed started the season with his manager, I think they might have fared a wee bit better. But they brought in too many overpriced players, who weren't worth the money that they're paying them. Andy Millen's already told us a couple of things, about some of the wages that the club's paying and nonsense, absolute nonsense, So, no, I mean, I think it's been another wasted season for Clyde. And I'll be honest, Dennis, I worry about the direction that the club's taking and where they're going, in terms of they don't have a stadium, obviously. They don't have a ground to call their own. They're ground sharing with Hamilton. Yeah, they've done that for a number of years before moving to Cumbernauld. But no, I definitely think I worry for the direction the club's taking.
Yeah, it's always been a concern for me that Clyde are the nomads. East Stirling had it for a long while as well. Look where they have ended up.
Yeah, look where they are now. Yeah.
And that, for me, is a big concern because if Clyde go out of the divisions, and I know that it's a mile away, but if they do go out of the division, I couldn't see them coming back. They will be almost like a third Lanark almost, because it's so hard, as you can see, to get back into the division. But if you're coming into a division, you've got to have the ambition. I keep thinking all the time that Clyde are still playing at Broadwood because that's what I identify them with.
Yeah.
I mean, you go further back, it was Clyde, but then Broadwood is where it is. I just feel that they are in no man's land, and it must be difficult going in there, and it's not your own place. It's difficult.
Credit to the supporters who turn up week in, week out, by the way. Home and away, so fair play to the guys who follow the club religiously, home and away.
Yeah, and
unlike
just
myself.
An update. Falkirk are winning 1-0 with 27 minutes played.
Right, no bother, no problem.
So I think that lets you get to your.
I think that says I'm getting ready for my pit. You know what I mean? I was yawning away before we started tonight, so still a wee bit tired. So I'm getting to my pit. Some days are up at 2 a.m. for work, but hey, never mind. It is what it is. So as always, I would like to say thank you very much to Dennis for joining me as co-host tonight. Thanks to Hugh Toner, Motherwell residents fan. Or a resident Motherwell fan, even. I'll get the words right.
Motherwell fan.
That's your resident Motherwell fan, whatever you want to call it. Thanks very much to Hugh Toner. Thanks to you for listening. As we say every week, go ahead, like, share, subscribe. It does help us out. You know what I mean? Let's get the subscribers increased because, as everyone knows, it's all happening on the pitch. Good night.
Good luck tomorrow, Hugh.